One of the things I neglected to talk about months and months ago when it was still relevant was the Mortal Kombat Switch port. I didn't really talk about the game at all because I chose to pass up on it. Not because I was disappointed in the Switch version, but because I have completely fallen out of love with Mortal Kombat and I have no intention of supporting the brand any further, right? My issues with Mortal Kombat have nothing to do with the Nintendo versions of the game. My issues have to do with the more substantial problems with the franchise as a whole. Its inability to evolve, its stagnant gameplay, its inability to introduce new characters, its over reliant on Hollywood style structure, right? It's stripping away of single player content. And I think this is the most important thing of all, it's over reliance on microtransactions to keep people playing. I talked about this a little bit with Mortal Kombat 11. I believe I made a video about it. I definitely made statements about it on stream. But for those of you who are unaware, like I put a lot of time into Mortal Kombat 11, like 40 hours, right? I got a lot of mileage out of it. I really loved it for what it was. I thought it was great, right? But as I moved from like ranked online play to do like some of the other modes and tried them out, like I discovered the microtransactions that were kind of buried in there, and I kind of realized that like this kind of ruined the long-term experience, right? I did not like the fact that this stuff was in the game at all. And I released a statement about how much I didn't like it and stuff like that. And seeing Mortal Kombat 1 double down on it and like not strip that stuff out entirely made me decide that it was time to peace out and consider Mortal Kombat 1 11 my final Mortal Kombat game. And I thought I was alone on that. There was a lot of talk about like Mortal Kombat 11 when it first came out, how controversial it was, and how people didn't like the direction it was taking, and like the costume thing, and how it looked just like the older games, and how there was just no real evolution, and how like annoyed everybody was. And then it went on to be like the best-selling fighting game of the year, right? Like at the time, people thought that like indicated that Mortal Kombat was bigger than ever, that people were just like guzzling down slop, that there was no like real progression towards, stopping support for these products, right? That people would just guzzle down microtransactions forever. But like there's been such a big shift in the industry since Mortal Kombat 1 came out. It's kind of baffling, to be completely honest with you. Like, in between Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1's release, right? We had like lots of world-changing events. The economy is way different. People are like becoming more and more skeptical of microtransactions. And what's more, I think people are losing faith in WB as a publisher, right? When Mortal Kombat 11 came out, they were still riding high on the success of Arkham Knight and stuff like that. And since then they've made several blunders, right? Gotham Knights, uh, Mortal Kombat 1 is debatably a blunder in and of itself. And the upcoming Suicide Squad, which people are very, very upset about because it's a gas project. In between the release of Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1, the general gaming public were exposed to gas products, games as a service, projects into major console development, and they did not like it, right? I think with DLC, the reason it was able to like work with DLC was that like it was easily ignorable if you didn't want to support it, right? You didn't have to buy the horse armor, you didn't have to buy the expansion, you didn't have to do that. Like you didn't buy the DLC unless you wanted to, right? But for games as a service, like dumping money endlessly into a game you already paid for is something that like more and more people are just like pushing back against. Like with Suicide Squad in particular, like I expect this game is going to be a disaster because of its structure and like what it expects from you and things like that. It's going to be a complete failure. And I think Mortal Kombat 1, simply having these kind of gas systems, even if like people don't really buy into them or pay for them at all, like how many people do you think realistically paid for the Halloween DLC, right? Like who do you know who would do that? $15 for like a Halloween themed DLC. Like the worst idea ever, right? And I'm sure that was like far from the worst thing they did during that like release cycle, but like doing stunts like that completely kill the long-term viability of Mortal Kombat 1. Like it didn't have anything to do with the mediocre gameplay or the story. Like I've actually seen people praise the story, which is ridiculous to me, because it seems like slop. But when I look at like what people are talking about the game online, like it's not positive. people did not like Mortal Kombat 1. And when I actually look at the sales numbers, when I see that it only sold like 3 million, which is a huge drop off from 11, which I think sold like what, 11 million in the same time span. Like Mortal Kombat 11 was like really popular, really really popular. To see such a sharp drop off really shows that more and more people are getting pushing back against these kind of projects. And I think more and more that people are unwilling to give money to something that is not giving them enough value in return. Like I can tell you that I had Mortal Kombat 1 pre-ordered at one point. Like I was gonna get it, but when I thought back to all the issues I had with 10 and 11, when I thought about how much I disliked them in some ways, going increasingly woke being the big thing for me in 10. Like when I think back to that, I kind of decided that yeah, we have to push back against this. Like I can't support this anymore. Whatever I felt about 11, no matter how much I enjoyed it, like it has crossed a line for me and it is time to stop. And so I consciously made the decision to not support Mortal Kombat 1 for that reason. And you know what? I wasn't the only one. Anyone who says that consumers don't have power in this industry are delusional, right? Mortal Kombat has been on a decline since Mortal Kombat 9. Not a sharp decline because the games were still playable and there were still things to enjoy about them, but like I no longer see the value in supporting this property because it's not getting better. I don't see a reason to invest my time and energy in playing in a video game franchise that I no longer get like true absolute enjoyment out of, right? There are too many problems to keep ignoring them, and we need to address this for a very, very, very long period of time.